championship, and it would be JDG that moves on. Let's find out what happens in Game 4.
Thank you so much, Shox. And I don't know. I have a feeling that we might be in a situation where JDG are ready to run away with it. KT, can they bring us to a Game 5? It will not be something that we often expect from this team. Once they start down the slippery slope, it's difficult for them to turn around. But one thing giving a little hope was their expressions sitting at their PCs as they came out of the coach's booth. Looking a little bit in higher spirits. Maybe they got a plan moving into this Game 4.
And I think you need to against the behemoth that is JDG. I mean, Emily was touching on the desk. This is a team that was built to succeed. You've got 369, who has changed his entire play pattern from being a massive carry on top Esports to taking a step back to allowing people like Knight and Ruler to take over. You have Kanavi, who's doing so well with being able to play off the advantages that he can pick up from those lanes as well.
Whoa!
There, wow. Wukong immediately gone. I mean, that's kind of as the perfect champion for Kanavi because he likes to play carries that can team fight. So I'm not surprised to see KT kind of giving that respect across.
It does mean that you either have to give over Rakan again to Missing, or you have to, first pick Xayah. Doesn't feel like there's a lot of good options here.
Certainly doesn't.
The opening, given how dominant JDG have been on the Rakan.
Also, the Orianna going across the Knight once more as well. I mean, he's been very solid in that mid lane. Yes, BDD will probably go back to the Azir, but as you say, the Rakan works very well with that Orianna. You can still go for a lot of these big team fight junglers as well. So I think for this one, JDG, there's the Orianna. More than likely, I'm actually going to leave, I'd say, Kanavi's champion pool to the second rotation. I'm more than likely going to see if they can pick up the Aatrox for 369 the top lane. He's been very happy for that, unless they want to try and separate him from it here.
I really like this, though. KT just going to change the game plan completely. A little bit more single target pick, and the Lulu was fantastic from Lehens in game number 1. Go back to what worked, right?
And the biggest problem we've seen is that the bot priority hasn't been going for aiming Lehens. Game 1, it worked fantastically, because you know Kanavi wants to play through a solo laner. So if you can then just, in that isolated 2v2, get these little advantages, start to contest the dragons, it disrupts a lot of the JDG hype train. So this is a really good start for KT coming in on this blue side.
And it's actually a big pivot here from JDG. They've been completely okay saying, hey, Ruler, just pick something. We'll figure out something for you eventually. Good luck, you know, they're gonna pinch your champion pool, and I think with the Sivir performance as well, showcased again that he plays plenty of AD carry champions at a very high level. But this time around, I do think the Xayah Rakan, or the Kai'Sa Rakan is combo we've seen countless times. As long as you can get through the laning phase, the mid to late game is ludicrously strong.
The thing is, though, this hasn't been a good Kai'Sa time whenever Xayah is open. 22% win rate against the Xayah over the course of Worlds. It's been very, very difficult to get any sort of control over that. Even when the Xayah is able to have her ultimate, if you ever try to go in, she's got a bunch of self-peel. And then paired with alongside the Lulu, she's got even more safety and more opportunities to polymorph a Kai'Sa, who tosses herself in to try and find those fights. So I think BDD and the rest of the team are going to be very, very happy with how KT have opened up this draft, even if his Azir is going to be taken away.
And the Vi and Ahri combination going to be there because the Azir respect was paid here by JDG. Final ban come through from KT. They are waiting for the very last second, and it will be Rel taken off the board. But Jax is now up, and 369 could grab that if he would like.
This could be a sick Sylas angle for BDD, though.
Oh,
like,
true.
when you look at the opportunity to play Vi Sylas into an Orianna, you've got the quickness that's already there, the shockwave you can toss onto yourself as well, and the fact that everyone's going to be super short range, you're going to get a ton of value off in these fights. So I'm curious if BDD is just willing to pull that one out, especially now with another Lee Sin locked in here as well.
It's a big one for Kanavi.
I saw a wry smile on Kanavi's face, like someone's telling him to lock Maokai. And instead, actually gets to have some fun. Lee.
Yeah, no, they probably say that in like Chinese, and then in Korean, Kanavi's like, Ruler, just lock Lee, it's fine.
I will say as well for Kanavi, like, in 2021, I considered him one of the best Lee Sins, if not the best Lee Sin in the world. His plays were absolutely insane. He tore apart teams like IG single-handedly on this pick. It hasn't got quite back to that same level of hype that we saw in 2021, but I'm very excited to see what he can do. Difficult matchup when you're up against things like the Jax and also the Xayah.
Oh, and BDD, he's brought it out. His Syndra was legendary 2 years ago on the world stage. This was one of the champions that he utilized when he went all the way against EDG. And man, he's always been so good at this champion. Very, very fun. See him back on it once again.
It's also him playing it against Knight, which I think is really cool. Knight's scatters. I still have nightmares of the scatters that Knight was able to find at MSI. Some of the team fight setup was incredible.
Brings it back.
And it is the actually, yeah, AP Gragas is one of the best matchups into the Jax, right? You're able to, as soon as you pick up a little bit of items, consistently outtrade him and counter what the Jax will try to do.
It's also just the fact that it's 369 Gragas. Like, he's so incredibly good in this pick, and it's such a pick that's kind of become synonymous with him, especially after there was a 2020 documentary that was released on Top Esports where Carson was ripping him apart, being like, you can't play this champion, you can't play Gnar, what the hell are you doing? And now he's completely transformed himself from the man that he once was into such a big Gragas connoisseur. It's going to be a doozy in that top lane to try and beat Keen.
Gragas also, you're playing into two immobile carries on the enemy team. Both Syndra and Xayah don't really have a good way of dealing with the Cask, and the amount of teamfight setup that's available for JDG is a very scary thing to face.
I think it's also the fact you can try and get some of the ultimates like the Xayah ultimate out early with a Cask, right?
Yeah.
Which then opens up for Kanavi to try and make some fun things happen, I will say, on this pick, or even try and set up for people like the Kai'Sa to have several different angles of attack. It feels like this could be the linchpin that JDG needed, I already said Top Esports, JDG needed to find the success here.
At the same time, I do think that this draft feels more similar to game number 1 for KT. It's very pick-oriented, try and play aggressively for isolating individual champions. That's what got them the winning game number 1. See if it's enough here, or if JDG gets another step closer to that golden road.
Yeah, paving another brick, as it were. But we are ready, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to jump onto Summoner's Rift for what could be the final time today, unless KT can queue up the Silver Scrapes. Like you were talking about, going back to a similar draft to game number 1. More of a 4-1, not a 1-3-1. Doesn't have the Akali, and in a side lane, Syndra is a bit of a sitting duck. But this composition can snowball extraordinarily hard, and their pick potential is immense.
And I also think it gives you the control you need here as KT. Very strong mid-jungle 2v2. You burn an early summoner from Knight, that's a lane you can continuously revisit. You control mid, you control bot by default as well, where aiming the Hens can continuously push in. As long as you can track, which is what KT are trying to do, you're going to be in a good spot. Missing will spot that ward has gone in on the bottom side alongside Ruler, so at least for the moment they'll know that they've been warded out.
Well, 369 does have the belly bop. Keen is going to leap on top of him. There's some grasp stacks. Nailing it. Another leaf string? Okay, interesting. But is going to interrupt the auto attack with the body slam. Nicely done.
Yeah, even with the early cooldown reduction, right, if you hit your E, still going to be the Jax at level 1 that needs to be respected as early fighting here.
Yeah, Lehans immediately has to use the exhaust. He's been ignited as well, as Ruler could be in trouble. Morto's coming down, and missing is going to be just coaxed out of the river for now.
That's the
zone.
That's the bot lane priority exactly that you want here for KT, though. Keeping Missing at bay, you can see aiming is going to cut off Ruler from hitting this wave as well. So KT immediately trying to get control on this bottom side, and with Cuz already starting to move down here, this could be where they're just trying to put their base. Say, look, we've invested too much in Keen on the top side. He will be fine to scale. We need to get Aiming and Lehens in a position where they can carry this game.
Much better matchup this time around, it feels like, for aiming as well, especially considering the fact that he has the Lulu. Lehens is on a bully, and he's very good at that style of play. Counter-Strike going to be used nicely here for Keen on this top side. And BDD trying to put pressure on tonight. Feels like BDD has had a lot of priority when he has the matchup to do it. See whether that's going to continue here in this lane.
And we'll see. A really big wave is being stacked up. We're also seeing Kanavi actually pivot here towards the bot side. I'm wondering if KT actually wants to try and go for this, or maybe catch Kanavi in the rotation. Cuz is making his way over.
He could blast cone in there, but doesn't actually know exactly where Kanavi is.
Oh, he's going to wait it out. He's going to try and catch him off guard. Or he might try to go for Knight.
I think it's Knight in the mid lane he's looking for. Lehens is starting to move up. Either way, it's going to be a mismatch, either mid or in this jungle setup.
Well, Cuz completely unseen. He can blast cone over, but instead the Vault Breaker is going to be charged. Finds it there onto Kanavi. And now it's a Smite War. Ward is in the brush there for KT. Is missing, moves on up. I believe it was Cuz that secured it. Gonna be able to take that one away from Kanavi. Already a leg up, but they're looking for more. Voltbreaker connects once again. The flash forward from Lehens, but Kanavi's able to get over the wall with his own. And now the grand entrance comes forward. They know that Lehens is vulnerable. Ruler is looking for it. Kanavi finds it. First blood goes to Ruler, and BDD finds a scatter onto 3. Kanavi goes down, and now Ruler is running. Cuz is going to push him away, and Knight not going to be able to get in on this one. KT answer back.
And it's mayhem here early on. Both AD carries are able to pick up a kill. And a lot of summoners down here as KT, the early invade, will end up. Oh, Keen, careful there.
The thing is, though, Knight actually invested his TP to get into that. They saw the invade was a potential here. Knight reset, TP'd back into lane, but couldn't actually battle BDD for control over the wave before BDD to come across. 369 will push Keen away, but it means that actually if you look at BDD, he's going to be able to shove this wave in, get a much better opportunity in this mid lane thanks to that TP ward, and that'll open up KT to try and make some more plays off the back of this.
And you see the confidence here for KT, right? Going in hard on Kanavi. This from Lehens, though, a little bit over eager. I think if the rotation is already there, as BDD is in trouble.
Yeah, meanwhile, in live, you can see BDD struggling here. The dissonance connects. There's the slow, and the punch the ground from Kanavi. Locks down the kill on the Syndra. Without flash, kind of a sitting duck there in that mid lane. Nicely capitalized on by Kanavi.
Cuz needed to sit there with BDD to make sure he could crash that wave, then get the TP back in. I mean, if you had this sort of purchase up against a literal mana crystal for Knight, you would have been in such a good spot for BDD. But now Knight gets control of the wave, he's able to reset, and this is just those little mistakes from KT now that JDG are punishing.
Also seeing the fact that 369 is winning this matchup early is kind of insane, because you're not really supposed to have this big of a lead early on, right? And it speaks to the mastery of the champion. It's after you get lost chapter that the matchup becomes really...
Oh, he baited it! He baited it!
Kanavi moving over. He was spotted pretty early, but Keen gonna need to flash that one. Sonic Wave was gonna connect, and he had to invest it.
And you can see there for 369, the whole way you play this matchup is body slam the counter strike. By using the body strike early, he just invites Keen to go for it. And as you say, it ends up being in a position now where the wave's in a terrible spot. Kanavi has good control, and now Cuz trying to respond to that play on the top side by getting Dragon on the bottom end.
Should be able to grab this, of course. Kanavi looking for a bit of a play here in the mid lane once again. He's on the prowl. Nice scatter, though. Going to connect there from BDD. Going to be able to space himself away from Knight and Kanavi. His flash halfway done, as KT will be able to secure this first round.
The one upside is that with Kanavi showing a mid-wave, Keen actually gets to fix his wave state. We'll see if 369 is able to hold him off, as the first rake will go over to KT. It's a win that they needed, because thus far, feels like JDG have been getting the better end of the trades on the map.
Look at Keen's health bar, though. He ended up taking a really bad trade, and you still have ult there for 369. This wave still not in the best of spots, so Keen tries to fix it, but actually comes back to bite him there in that top end.
Do you think it's pushing into him now? So with the heal he'll be able to pick up from the fruit in the river, should be able to at least withstand the pressure. But yeah, again, 369 piloting this matchup so well. As Kanavi looking for a lane gank here.
Man's on the prowl. Knockup is going to connect there onto Lehens, who still doesn't have flash. Kanavi comes in with the safeguard. Might be enough space here for KT. JDG getting some much-needed control of this bottom side. They'd been falling a little bit behind.
Something we also haven't talked about is that Lehens actually went for exhaust, right? So with these aggressive plays from Kanavi, really have to take into account the amount of damage reduction.
Oh no, is he going to get cancelled again? Yeah.
That's
Didn't know the ward was there, because the Q went into the brush and it looked like he was just farming.
Yeah, really nice job there from KT to actually stop the back. It interrupts Kanavi, who's now going to reset. Cuz going up towards this top side, wants to steal away the red, won't quite hit 6 off this camp, but at least then can try and play for 369 in that top lane and even out the flash on the top end.
Another engage to come forward here is aiming, getting very aggressive. Blade Caller, nice little snare onto Ruler and missing. They're going to be able to shove this wave in, go for that reset that we were looking for. Cuz's punishment is collecting the Bramble back, and we'll be able to secure that one for himself. 20 seconds on the Rift Herald.
Kanavi also won't know, because he's going for his Raptors first, so it means that Cuz's position, at least right now, not going to get given away just yet. I do think, though, with the fact that Gragas is there, is this healthy, plus has flash, actually looking for a gank opportunity without 6 feels basically impossible. And this counter matchup by 369, I think, going to become a bigger and bigger problem for KT as this Jax. This matchup isn't going to get better.
The thing is, though, now not having ult on 369, I think you missed out on the window to try and fight for Rift Herald. You could already see the reset come through from missing. You don't have access to the ult. Kanavi doesn't have 6 either.
Yeah, Kanavi going to look for this Rift Herald. Lahen's in position. Aiming's already up here as well. Looks like the Lee Sin's going to have to exit the situation. BDD keeping Knight at bay, missing, moving forward. JDG a little bit split. We'll see whether they can actually fight for this one, because you can see 369 does have the inside track. That is going to be the secure on the Rift Herald. And now 369 has to flash. Counter-strike. Not going to be there. Keen didn't have his flash available to catch up to that Gragas. He's just too nimble. KT, they do get the prize.
And missing the red there for Kanavi meant he didn't hit 6. Scuttle Crab ticked kills over to 6. And now he's got Rift Herald. He's got reinforcements, and 369 might be in trouble.
Yeah, a little bit of a lane swap here is okay. BDD gonna have to flash once again. They're keeping that one on cooldown. He needed to use it. See Knight actually getting some control back in the lane.
Oh, Cuz trying to look for a punish on Knight here. But Knight positioning so safely. Yeah, not really an opportunity here. And yeah, if Kanavi is 6, I don't even know if BDD, even with the flash, will be okay there. As Kanavi.
Yeah, Keen's here towards his bottom side, and he gets the red. Okay, Kanavi just thought that he was going to have to try and smite and hope, and it wasn't quite enough. So Keen is now a Jax with a red, and that feels pretty good, I think.
Especially since Kanavi was like, well, BDD, our Cuz is coming across. I don't know if I can stick around for long enough to actually take this. So Keen just pokes his head in, says, all right, yeah, you're not going to get this. Manages to steal it away. Question mark for me, though, is, all right, what's the story with this Rift Herald? Like, Cuz, are you going to actually try and move in towards mid? Maybe look for a play with BDD? Or, which I think is the correct call in this situation, just get as much gold as possible onto Aiming. If Aiming's able to control the pace of these fights, he's going to be in such a good spot to be your carry. And he kind of has to be when you look towards like the burst damage that BDD has won't be enough to bring you across the finish line when it comes to these engagements.
I'd also be looking as to what extent KT are able to build bigger leads, because we've seen in the last 2 games that going even just isn't enough against JDG with how well they team fight. You need to get more, and right now, I think a second Dragon would be a really big win. It's up in 40 seconds, but 369 Red are already able to set up some decent trades here on Keen. They're going to try and look for a possible punish just before the Drake.
Well, Cask is not quite going to work out. Kanavi is waiting for this one. I think it might have just been a straight-up bait there from 369.
Oh, yeah.
Keen not going to go for it. Now, Cuz and Knight. Oh, they do manage to land the scatter, but BDD is just going to get a Rift Herald from Cuz and not much more.
Knight a little bit too close to the tower, so they don't want to overcommit towards that, especially with Dragon in just a couple of seconds. So they will just back away. We'll get the tower plates in the mid lane going across, and the control over River. You can see 369 has to back away because he's, well, actually, at least back further out of the lane, so he's not getting caught up by KT as they move down.
Do note that the only ultimate that isn't available right now is 369, his ultimate. We'll see if they actually want to try and go for this. There's also basic, I think there's no mythics done across the board. That is a big spike a lot of champions will look for, and I think KT are just going to give this one up.
Yeah.
And not able to find anything on the cross map either. Might get a teleport out of 369, but that is going to be all.
I was kind of surprised to see KT, the way they skirted around the outside of the Dragon Pit. Like, they got Rift Herald mid, they had the push on Knight, they could have moved into River and really established themselves there, but they almost felt scared to approach River despite the fact that 369 didn't have ult. And now KT kind of setting up once more, 1-for-1 on Dragons, and trying to see if they can find a push onto this bottom side.
Yeah, Lahen's just being as frustrating as possible with repeated glitter lances. Aiming. Farming out nicely, though. Has about a 20 CS advantage, making this Xayah matchup into the Kai'Sa still look pretty Xayah favored, as Cuz looks for the Vault Breaker, doesn't connect it onto Kanavi, who will now make his way out via the chickens. Lahen's not going to be able to do too much to missing here.
This been doing a great job of trying to match the jungle pressure, though, as maybe he needs it.
Yeah, that is his own chicken thrown back at him. I believe, did Cuz just manage to get that somehow?
I
even
think
though it was coming down with the force of will? Interesting. Anyway, Kanavi is just being tracked all over the place. Cuz looking for even more information. Fully gathered by JDG at the same time, is now aiming. The one caught on his own. Killer Instinct comes in. There is the Featherstorm, and they may have moved a little bit far forward as BDD is going to show up. Can he find the scatter is the question. As the knockup comes in, there is the scatter we were talking about. Ruler with just a ghost, and he'll be just fine.
Gonna be a big win there. You're able to get a teleport out just in exchange for your ghost. For JDG, see BDD should, with the Giga Cone, to be able to make his way back to his own lane very quickly. So punish isn't going to be too bad. As Everfrost now done for 369. You thought the Gragas was annoying to play into before Keen. It's going to get a whole lot worse. Although teleporting in the middle of the lane, let's kind of help him out.
Yeah, and kind of like mismatching the body slam with the Everfrost as well, but immediately
It's fine.
369 answers back. And this at least should give a little bit more control to 369 again in these side waves. He's doing a good job of pushing. You kind of want to get to a position as Keen where you can just ignore the damage from 369 and take towers, but since we've kind of seen that swap over to the AP Gragas build versus what used to be the tank, you just don't really get a chance to fully ignore 369 before he's cleared out the waves entirely.
Yeah, teleport does come through. He's going to avoid the lane completely. Heads towards that bottom side. Ruler was pushing that one in. Teleport used bottom means that KT fighting around here could be a little bit dangerous. There's the flash forward from Cuz, though. They're looking for their target. Polymorph comes in, the exhaust lands onto 369. Aiming is looking for that kill. Takes so long to kill him. They're 1-for-1 so far, but there's the flash forward. They lock that one down. The unleashed power onto Kanavi gets his flash. And he looks to escape. KT looking all right in the 2-for-1.
It's a whiff from 369. He tries to flash body slam flash onto Aiming, but only connects with Lehens. And Aiming then is free firing the entire time, even missing, going 2 different directions with Knight. It's an absolute disaster.
Cuz.
Yeah, Vault Breaker is going to get him out of there. If
And
that was BDD, though, he would have been dead.
yeah, 100% Cuz is able to make his way out. And I actually think it was Lehens that set up play initially because he goes in aggressively on Knight as Knight is trying to walk past towards the top and where they have more control, and it forces, or it gets the crown on cooldown. So then the immediate response from Cuz is with the polymorph, there's no ability to flash in. And as you point out, 369, the exhaust I think really big, allows Lehens to live for so long, he even gets the knock up onto Knight, and then allows KT to trade favorably in this fight.
Not being able to actually get onto Aiming, as you say, is like, it's just so difficult. He's got so much damage. Now missing, has to back away. They're trying to move into position here to take over mid.
And Herald actually being picked up because of that earlier play by KT, who are looking to take control in this mid game.
Yeah, and thanks to MasterCard, the lane economy snapshot looking pretty good here for KT. Maybe we will have to find Silver Scrapes, but 369 has something to say about it. They take the Feather Storm from Aiming. But thankfully, he was able to press the button.
That's now Aiming without ulti for the next dragon, though. And I think that's the timing that JDG were trying to look for. It will be a very small opportunity. You still have flash there for Aiming as well. But if you can get missing with a flash of his own onto position, onto Aiming, as the dragon spawns, that's what JDG will have to try and play for here.
And it's Chemtech Soul and 3 apiece for both of these teams on the board. I do think that these crazy powered up plants are actually going to be really interesting in this game. I think that like the Mega Scryer as well, pretty cool. Don't tell Valdez, but I'm actually kind of approving the Chemtech Soul this time around.
I love the chaos.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
I mean, before we got into this, you were talking about like, oh, I want a Chemtech Rift so I can have BDD on Nico.
Yeah, but we wanted
going in.
Nico. Yeah.
But I was going to say, you can do that for Missing, where Missing ends up just blasting himself into position with an ult. So now, Missing, you can see how sneaky he's trying to be right here. He wants to be the one to make that play onto KT. They have no idea Missing's here.
BDD is so far up, he still doesn't have his flash available.
He's got to be dead.
Oh no, Missing is going to show himself. BDD tries to scatter to get him out of the way, and he's not going to avoid this one. He's just going to get taken down. Didn't have a stopwatch, and even if he did, he would have just been dead. And now it is going to be a Drake for JDG, you have to assume.
And Missing never committed the ultimate, so he's still in a position where he can threaten that with the flash. KT have to back the hell away. And I'm keeping my eyes on what Keen wants to do, because he's looking up towards this Orianna, who's a little bit vulnerable, especially after KT take this mid lane tower.
So 1 Chemtech Drake in trade for this outer turret in mid lane. If KT can move towards the top side, then maybe they're going to be able to even out that trade. But with BDD falling down, does skew it in favor of JDG.
Oh, nice. You're being so disrespectful.
Well, no, because they have TP and Knight still has crown. So, the TP!
Okay, in they come. Keen looks for it. It's 369 that they go for. First scout of the week does come through, and there's a cease and desist. Gameplay button comes in, and that is 2 for free for KT.
It's a 2v5! Well, JDG were like, we can take this, and that is coming back to bite them. KT pounce immediately, and they'll move to mid to defend the tower.
Keen, I'm like, where are you going? He's going to get tagged.
You're going to connect. Their killer instinct comes in. Ruler wants it. Keen is not going to die just yet.
Ooh. Oh, Missing might be caught out here. It's only Cuz though, so should be fine. Eat some fruit.
Yeah, are we ever? Like,
never
I say
dies,
Missing,
man.
but he just doesn't die.
We're giving it to the chaos of the rift. I love this. Let's go.
That's my Camtech Rift.
They do manage to take the outer turret in the mid lane. Definitely good news. A lot of things really opening up around this map right now.
Oh, aiming.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Another Feather Song put straight on cooldown. There's the kick, goes through Lehens. It's nicely done there. As Keen dives in, Kanavi might be out of position. He should have a safeguard relatively soon.
Look at BDD.
And now, scatter the weak, not going to work out here. There's a flash from Cuz, and he picks it up. The Mega Cone to disperse the players, and now Cuz could be on the wrong side of this. Missing, lurking, Lehens finds him. And a grand entrance comes in. I mean, we're not going to be engaging on this one. Just buttons being pressed all over the place, gentlemen.
I think JDG needs to cool it on the button pressing, though. You TP to the top side, you completely mess it up. Then you try to make this play here, completely mess it up. Calm down with the button pressing, even the right clicks as well. Give yourself some time to get back into position.
Easy on the keyboards, gentlemen.
Particularly because this is exactly what KT wants, right? This is, I think, a composition that excels if they can pick off targets one by one. Use the CC chain that they have available between Polymorph, Vi, Syndra, and Jax to take out individual targets, because when the dive on topside happened, I was a little worried. Crown still had to be procced, 369 was coming in, but the CC chain is so powerful that it doesn't really allow JDG to fight or to play the game unless you are ready and have a counterplay available when someone is attempted to get picked off.
Also so good at keeping people alive on KT with like aiming, being able to get out. You got like the opportunity for Keen to leap back out. Exhaust, the heals, the Lehens as well, having the wall growth. It's so difficult to just kill someone if KT are going for these dives. So at the moment, JDG again missing on a mission to get in behind Cuz, but Cuz, what can he do here?
Wait, who's flanking who?
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone's flanking everyone.
I'm losing track.
Lehens is flanking Missing, while Kanavi is flanking Lehens, and Ruler is killing a ward. Cuz is still here. Of course, finds a Vault Breaker onto Missing, not the target. Cease and desist actually going to be invested here. He's dead. There's the leap strike. Keen's going to lock it down. I thought I'd never see the day. The Missing's overextended because he just seems to survive. Not that time.
The flanks were a puzzle and we just couldn't see the whole picture. But eventually KT bring those pieces together, and they brought them together in front of the Baron as well. I don't think they can immediately turn over towards this, but this is going to give them a ton of control to set up vision and start to push JDG back.
And they do need to clear out control, because if you look at the minimap, look at how much vision there is still available here for JDG. So even if KT was like, okay, Missing's dead, we want to try and go for something, there was plenty of opportunity to try and punish for the JDG, so KT not going to take the risk. But this is feeling like the type of messy game where KT continuously gets to keep the pressure on their opponents.
And they get the opportunity to set up for big kills on towards Cuz, 204. He's going to be able to put the herd onto Ruder, focus him down. And when you look at the opportunities for JDG to try and play it back, you have to burn so many different things before you can really get access to people like aiming. When you've got the wall growth, exhaust, flash, the ultimate for the Xayah as well, it's so hard to just kill aiming.
Oh, the W from Missing, he knew.
Yeah.
Well done.
Nicely done. And KT is going to get this mid lane in order. I want to go back to that chaos that we had before. That was crazy.
Give it 30 seconds. We got next dragon
there we go.
And it's going to go insane.
All right, here we go. We might have something here, but no. Cuz not going to find the knockback with his Vault Breaker. Just going to get over that wall with his next one. Take down these control wards. These Mega Scryer's Blooms working out nicely as Missing once again. Going to be discovered. Cease and desist comes in. And KT are bearing down on them. There's a Vault Breaker, and Cuz just does it himself.
And Missing goes from not dying in what feels like the entire series to twice in a row. There is still a lot of cooldowns available for JDG though, so I don't know if KT wants to try and go for Nash.
Once done, they got them!
There it is, the Unleashed Power to fly through as well. Knight down to 50%. They should be able to get themselves out of here. Okay, that wasn't even the Unleashed Power. My goodness, it's just so much damage.
And that's the thing, BDD is getting to a position with the Shadow Flame where he hurts like hell if you give him that opportunity. Still, looks like JDG, they're gonna right, second dragon for KT, it's a Chem dragon, we don't care, let's try and get this play on the top side. But immediately you're seeing the response coming through from KT. Xayah starting to lean in towards this top side, Lehens covering for Kanavi coming over the wall. BDD killing us!
There it is! Oh, the gameplay button, it's not gonna be quite enough. Didn't quite calculate it. And Knight, now he just teleported back, so he's gonna have to go back home again unless he can get some of his health from these big old honey fruits.
But it does mean that the attempt from JDG to overload the top half of the map doesn't actually end up working. If Knight is alive and gets to guide the wave in, they might look for more, but now they have to wait for the next wave. We'll see if Keen is able to actually pick himself up. He gets the inner. That's so much gold.
KT is looking like game number 1 again, controlling the map, dictating the pace of these fights, and again, Amy and Lehens having control over the bot side means that Ruler just isn't that big of a threat. And now Kuz, he wants more chaos.
Yeah, there it is once again. The cease and desist comes through. The flash comes out from Kanavi. Doesn't want to get himself in trouble. Teleport to come forward from Keen. He really wants to join this, and they might be thinking that it's Baron time, but in goes the quickness from missing. Great knock-up, but there is so much damage on KT. He's not going to be doing that one again anytime soon. And JDG, oh, they're going to get stunned. There's a flash over from Keen, looking for even more with his counter-strike, and 369 will be pounded.
And
KT get another.
It looks like JDG are getting taken for a ride on the roller coaster. And they're not liking it.
There was no way that this series cannot end in a 5 games. After all the doubts, after everything, KT want to push us there. And Baron is in their sights. Knight
on his
and
way.
Ruler are all that's left.
Well, Ruler wants to try the shockwave. The shockwave is massive on the BDD. Lehens goes down as well. And now the killer instinct comes forward. Aiming is looking for it, but Ruler says, not today, buddy. And they're even able to catch out Keen, who's looking for Kanavi. It was so good until it was just so bad for KT.
I got excited. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it.
And the roller coaster comes crashing down as Knight and Ruler say no. You will not take the Baron, and JDG turn it around.
And that is a shockwave for the tier list, gentlemen. Let's have a look at it again.
I mean, this was gorgeous. Ruler just playing outside of vision, moves in stealthed to catch BDD, set up the shockwave for Knight, and this is not the first time we've seen Knight find these moments in games like this, hiding these orbs, these balls, and Oriana to set up these massive plays, and KT are left routed as they finish off Keen.
And if Keen was there, they might have been able to actually take him down, but it's the fact that towards topside, Keen was trying to stand guard, and Ruler, just the absolute lack of fear just to E in there as Kaisa gets JDG to Red Bull Baron power play.
And it's so reminiscent of the first time you got to see Knight pick up a title for himself. Summer 2020, he was on the Syndra where he hid just outside of vision to find this big moment to strike. It was at a dragon. This time once more hiding just over the wall with another orb of a different description to set up a play that might have just taken this game out of the hands of KT.
And look at the win probability powered by AWS. You can see it took a real nosedive after that for KT. They do have, like, of course, they still have decent amount of gold here. Slight advantage, but it really feels like momentum has shifted. And the Red Bull Baron power play is still continuing to tick northward. This could be up to 3,000 as this inner turret is going to be taken down. There was a lot of standing gold on this map, and you can see Cousin BDD are in the top lane.
Yeah,
they're going to be able to
inhib
take
for
this inner turret, but the inhib should just be taken down here by JDG. If 4-man strong, still looking to press forward, and 369 might be able to stop the backs. Exactly right, JDG, they do just take the inhibitor, and they're not looking for too much more. But still, that is not an inhib in trade, that is just an inner turret here.
Kuz and BDD are trying to see if they can find 369 as he steps away, though. He's playing this so safe, hasn't seen them reset, so gonna just back it on up. JDG clearing out the spot side jungle as they go. Do they find Kuz and BDD?
I think they spot them on that with that control.
Wait, who finds who
Are
again?
we flanking who and stuff again? Dagda, I'm confused. I'm not sure quite what's going on here.
I don't think they can get to Ruler. No, with the speed up. But maybe it allows KT to take some control here. But it looks like instead, JDG just gonna get everyone out of there. Extraction successful. And the gold and dragons will be dead even as we go towards this next Drake fight.
The items aren't so even, though. Look at Ruler. 3 items now complete on towards this Kaisa because he benefited off of those kills. Knight's going to be able to finish his Void Staff. Well, actually, probably not quite, just before the 30-second mark on this. But KT, do they find a roaming Gragas?
Well, he's looking for the back. It's empowered, but there it is, the Everfrost to try and keep him alive. But I have a feeling that even with his Zhonya's, he is still going to die. That is, yeah, that's...
JDG are on the way.
Yeah, they are. They're looking to try and help him out, but that's not going to work out. 4-3-6-9. Can they catch them out of position, or can they just take down some turrets? They don't have a wave, so it looks like the answer is no for now.
And it will mean that they're able to make their way over towards the Dragon Pit first here. This is just for soul points. KT have a lack of control. We'll see if they want to try and go for this nonetheless.
Look how little was used though. It's only the ult from BDD.
Yeah,
and he wants
teleport
Ruler.
flank. I don't know about this one. It could be dangerous immediately. He is going to go into stasis, but the shockwave was put down. The Void Secret Ruler finds it. Kanavi finishes it off. The Featherstorm is going to be used. Aiming is the last hope here for KT. And the cease and assist goes down onto Ruler. KT is still trying to find it though. Keen gets one back onto the jungler, but into the back line was Cuz, and he is going to be taken down right there. And as it sits, it's 2 for 2.
In the 4 versus 5 though, JDG are able to get the 2 for 2. They're able to get the Dragon, and it's these magnificent plays. The individual performers from JDG are stepping up massive in Game 4.
And
I guess it was a 2 for 1 because
Yeah.
369 was already dead.
Exactly, and the big thing there, I think the call from KT to try and fight, 100% correct. You might not get another opportunity where you are fighting a 5 versus 4, but the problem was that TP flank from BDD, even with stopwatch available, you can't do that against JDG. They are not going to mess up the timing. That shockwave from Knight, pixel perfect, so BDD doesn't get to flash it, and he's down before the fight begins.
And again, Ruler playing on a knife's edge here. This man does not have cleanse, but he's willing to put himself in harm's way to get the kill onto the Syndra with Kanavi, then reposition behind the Jax that's revving up that counter-strike to take him down. He's been so clutch with his positioning on this Kai'Sa. It's insane.
Well, they just briefly got notice of missing. He's by himself all the time, so they may not have expected that he had a couple of friends here in position. 4 members of JDG just roaming the KT jungle right now. Tides have turned so incredibly quickly in favor of the LPL first seed here. They are bearing down on KT now.
And it's so remarkable how oppressive JDG feel, because the goal is even, Cuz.
There's the knock-up. Do manage to get him over the wall there to relative safety. We've got fights happening all over the place as Knight is fighting Keen. He manages to get the shockwave. He goes golden. Can he survive? Are the rest of JDG going to get here? There's the quickness used by Missing, and now it's Keen that could be in trouble, but he does have the counter-strike. There's the Unleashed Paradise 369 that pays for Knight's sins. And Missing might be getting the same treatment.
Oh, he's going deep!
That is so incredibly deep because it's the one that pays the price. At 1 for 1, it's
They
fine.
got mega cones, and then meanwhile the bot lane wave is pushed in hard, and if Cuz stays alive there, KT might have gone a Baron, but instead it's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade.
But they have to give up control over the Baron. That's the Nexus turret going down. Baron is in 8 seconds. JDG are back on the map, and 369 is TP. They need to deal with this wave while keeping pressure on the Baron area.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, KT is sacrificing Nexus turrets just to try and go for this fight. It was almost extraordinary, but the fact that Cuz went so extraordinarily far, you kind of wish that you had an abort button on that particular R button there. You do not. Cuz was committed, and now JDG, they're going to start off. The Baron is going down extraordinarily quickly. Ruler has so many items. Keen has teleported in. Can they find a team fight, though, is the question. The Baron is out of it. And Keen, he goes golden, but it's going to be so hard to survive this. Counter-strike or no, Shockwave is a bit of a hula hoop, but Ruler is still going to say goodnight to Keen. There's the shutdown onto him. They take a blue buff, and now JDG just looking to press ever further forward with their Baron buff now in hand, with a big gold lead starting to build. This is really feeling like the 3-1 angle for JDG.
The waves aren't really in position for JDG right now, though. None of them are pushed in, so at least for the moment, KT will be able to hold strong, get the resets in. They need to buy time for Keen to come back up, but this is going to be a tough one, especially with only a single Nexus turret remaining. JDG want to try and close it out here with this Baron buff.
We'll see, though. There is still 2 minutes remaining here for JDG. Bot lane inhibitor is now back up for KT, and that should be the first angle of attack for JDG. No turret standing there. Their Rebel Baron power plays have been impeccable, as Missing just mega coning all over the place.
It is a dangerous tool in his hands, absolutely, for everyone.
Oh, Ruler!
He just looks for the hands, aiming. Gonna get the wild growth. Missing goes forward, and he's the one that might be taken down here as Aiming's moving forward. Ruler gets exhausted, but he's still gonna convince Aiming to exit the fight, and now Cuz is too far in. He tries to queue away, and somehow it just works out for the JDG 80 carry. They'll take the inner turret, and I don't think they're done there.
How the hell are JDG still up and swinging. Now Kanavi wants to go, still has the kick. Tower will fall.
30 seconds on Cuz. KT are going to try and hold on, but I don't know if they can.
Mid lane inhib is going to go down. They do have one siege minion available. They're going to have to wait for some waves, though, as they're getting to work on this bottom lane inhibitor. Kane, Counter-Strike now on cooldown just for a little bit, but we're pretty late into this game.
15 seconds on Cuz.
Yeah, BDD, can he actually execute someone? Scatter goes wide, in goes Kane. Looks for the opportunity onto missing, but he's so slippery, and now the Nexus is exposed. JDG a few auto attacks away from the semi-finals as the kick comes in. Aiming tries to stand his ground, but the Nexus is being fired.
It's a roll!
Oh,
Look at that! They end it! What? The cannon minion got one last shot off and they end the game!
That's how it's done, gentlemen. JDG will be heading to the semi-finals, and KT Rolster will have to start again next year.
Cool, calm and collected as always for JDG.
Yeah, no worries.
Not even close. And to be fair, you know, that the ending might have been close, but the way that JDG was able to play out these team fights and regain control after KT tried to introduce so much chaos is remarkable.